Before we start, this video contains spoilers for Wuthering Waves 3.5 Phase 1, so if you haven't finished the story yet, I'll see you back in a few hours. Because Kuro has done something really impressive, that completely changed how I looked at everything that came before in Wuthering Waves. Not a big reveal, and not just the new region. No. I think Kuro has quietly reset Wuthering Waves. And if you've played 3.5, you might have felt it too. That something was different. And you would be right. Because Wuthering Waves has changed the way we experience it. And at first I couldn't put my finger on what exactly had changed, but the more I looked into it, the more everything started to make sense. So welcome back to After Hype, where we let the dust settle and ask what this patch was actually trying to do. I think I was about an hour into the story when it actually dawned on me. I was in a new region, walking around and enjoying the story, music, scenery, not getting a headache. That's unusual, because normally Wuba throws so much jargon at you when entering a new region. And that's when I realized they've learned so much since 1.x. They're finally changing how they introduce a new region. So what's changed? Staying in the theme of this patch, we start at the beginning, where we say goodbye to our Star Torch Academy friends, leaving the old and going into the new. Right to Mengzhou, I thought. But that's not what happened. We go to Jinzhou first. And that's when something happened I didn't see coming. I got nostalgic immediately. That's a whole new feeling. It felt different. Instead of pretending everyone remembered Jinzhou, the story almost assumed you didn't. Seeing Jaja, Baija, Chisha, and even the elusive Zhang Yao, whose quest I actually never got to play due to the changes in 1.x. But it wasn't just more context that we needed from that. It was also how they would present us the new information. Because I'll be honest, as a non-native English speaker, I struggled a lot with all the jargon. And sometimes I still forget things like using your liberation is the same as using your ultimate. More information is not gonna make up for that. So it really surprised me when playing the story for the first time back in Jinzhou, I wasn't trying to understand the terminology. I was able to follow the story. And it gave me time to process what has been told and put two and two together. That felt really weird. With the slower pacing, the breathing room after statements were made, it let me think along with the characters. Sometimes connecting my own dots before the game even acknowledged them. But I've also already seen people say it was too slow. And for native speakers, I could understand that. Though, seeing how many new people have joined Wuthering Waves, and probably skipped a lot of story because it wasn't good in 1.x, I think this patch gave everyone just the right amount of context to get started. To set the scene for the upcoming patches. And after 7 hours of the story, I realized something else. Thinking back at 1.x doesn't make me feel bitter anymore. It almost feels like Kuro quietly gave Jinzhou the second chance it always needed through Xuanfang. And I feel caught up and ready for the next patches. So even though we are in 3.5, this feels like a new start. Which brings me to the story. Normally the old patch leaves us with a plot or a hint that the new patch builds upon. Only this time it didn't. They switched it around. Now the new patch gave us a goodbye to the old location and built upon why we go to the new location. And at first I felt a bit weird about it, because I thought we already said our goodbyes at the end of 3.4. But the way everything connected made the story flow way better, as it naturally brought up the question, what happened to Yangyang?
You must have come back because you heard what happened to Yangyang and Chixia.
And gave us directly a story to follow up on, instead of waiting 3 weeks for the answers. So I think Kuro is changing the way they build anticipation. Not by just giving us more questions, but with connections. For instance, the current story is finally starting to loop back. Normally we get a lot new information, new area, new characters, that all add to that mountain of new context. And I realized that in the old patches, all the information rarely connected back to things. A lot was left to be questioned, or was just a new truth. Now with this new story, right away it connected the old characters and their place in the world. Like Baija as a healer and Jaja as an artist, they have a life beyond helping Rover. A place in the world of Solaris 3. And what I like most is that they made it go full circle. Jinxi mentioned Zhangli is in Mengzhou, the capital of Wanglong, which now puts old characters in new regions. Again, giving them a role in the world and not just binding them to a specific spot. It gives us something to look forward to, as we might encounter her if we ever go to Mengzhou. Now, there are probably many more things, but what made it really clear for me was the mention of Yinlin's parents at the end of the story. Because it made me realize every connection isn't just answering questions, but also creating better ones. Yinlin's quest feels like ages ago, and though I thought it to be insignificant, but here we are, 3 versions later connecting back to it. And it's not done yet, as it's only vaguely been said that it connects to Yinlin's parents, but we have no idea what that could unravel. So I really hope they keep building upon these connections and give the characters a lively position in the world. And looking back, while making this video, I saw how it's not just the old characters that have been affected by the changes in the building of the anticipation. It was happening with the entire world. Because I noticed that there's been one team running through Wuthering Waves even before 3.5. And that's nothing is ever quite what it first seems. At first, I thought that was obvious. Things change the more information you get. But the last patches have taken it further. They make us question the answers we already had. And that goes all the way back to the very first scene, where Rover gets pushed by who I call the goddess. Because at first I thought she was some sort of god, but nothing in the story really hinted at there being gods in the universe, except for maybe the Sentinels, and those are not even human-shaped. So then I thought maybe she might be Rover's superior or something, like an oracle. Though that also never got anything to back that up. Then playing 3.5 gave me another idea, again. Now I think the goddess is connected to Yangyang somehow. I thought to myself, interesting way to make us question everything again and again. Another way to build anticipation. I had the same thought with the Sentinels. Every patch, my understanding of them has been changed. At first, I thought they were gods with their own will. But then I learned that Rover is somehow their boss. And now I think even that might have to be more nuanced. Another thing is that I thought they might be beings used by Rover's people to steer worlds to a non-destructive outcome. but that never really got any evidence. And now in this patch, it gets pushed further. I think a lot of people don't take this serious enough. Mengzhou at some point argues with Yangyang and Rover, where Rover, believes the Sentinels are good beings that help humanity. Mengzhou disputes this. And that's where I exactly also started to doubt. His point being, how can you know the Sentinels are good? Why wouldn't they turn on you? And I think he makes a good point that in no way we can answer yet, but it sets up an enormous possibility for the future story of the Sentinels and Rover's role as the Arbiter. Which in the end leaves me to conclude, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized Kuro isn't building anticipation in just one way anymore. They're building it through structure, through connections, and by making us question what we thought we already knew. I guess maybe that's the real fresh start. Just like with our dear first companion, who we thought maybe was poorly written and voiced quite flat, but to be the poster girl, then suspected to be the big villain, and now might be even expected to be related to the goddess. Maybe she is the real main character. Yangyang went through a crazy transformation, and honestly, I loved seeing her finally take the spotlight. For the first time, besides the collab, I felt like this wasn't Rover's story, it was hers. At least that's what I thought, because the further the story went, the stranger it became. It wasn't just about saving Yangyang. It was about seeing the world through her. The dreams started, the strange memories, the feeling that events weren't happening in a straight line anymore. And then finally, the reveal that Yangyang is the votary of the voice, whatever that means. That's when I realized I wasn't Yangyang becoming more important. I was watching Kuro quietly redefine what her role has always been. Not the hero, not the guide, but the beginning. Because think about it. Who do we meet after the goddess? Yangyang. Who welcomes us into Mengzhou? Yangyang. Who do we tell about all of our adventures? Yangyang. Who starts this new region? Yangyang. Maybe that's never been a coincidence. Maybe Rover is the one changing the world, while Yangyang is the one who always witnesses the beginning of that journey and stays by our side. And if that's true, the beginning wasn't Rover or Yangyang, it was both. And I'm curious to see what path lies before her and how it will connect to Rover. I think there's another rabbit hole here that completely changed how I look at Yangyang, and honestly, that deserves its own video. Looking back, I thought 3.5 was just introducing another region. I don't think that anymore. I think Kuro quietly changed how they tell stories. The world feels more natural, the mysteries feel bigger, and the characters we've known since 1.x suddenly feel different. And not because they changed, but because our perspective changed. 3.5 wasn't just a continuation of Wuthering Waves. It was quietly redefining how and where it really begins. A restart. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really curious to hear what you think about all of this. Let me know down in the comments and let's see what Kuro does, and see you in the next one.